Alright, this is problem number 12. Our job is to graph this sine function up here, and let's go through the steps. First off, when we're making our table, let's talk about these variables here, A, B, C, and D. First off, the amplitude is right here, which is 4. And I'm going to make a note here so I don't forget that it's not reflected. Period, that's the B value, and I drop this down here. So a normal period is 2 pi divided by 2. Period is pi. That means we're gonna do one complete wave, one up and down in the distance of pi. Phase shift right here is 2 pi, and is it left or to the right? Well, the sign's opposite, so it kind of looks like it should be going to the positive right, but since it's opposite, it is to the left. And the last part is the midline, y is equal to -1. Alright, that's going to set up our graph. Let's go ahead and make our table. First off, let's do the y values. Here's the initial y values, but we have to multiply by the amplitude. So this is 0 times 4 would be 0 and 4 and 0 and -4 and 0. And it's not reflected, so we'll leave them the signs that they are. But there's a midline that drops everything by 1 here, so every one of these values is dropped by 1. Alright, oops, it's going to be a -1 right here. Alright, all of our y values are done. Let's talk about our phase shift. Where are we starting? Well, we're doing 2 pi to the left, so we're not starting at 0, we're starting at -2 pi. Alright, we've done the y values, we've done the start. Let's do the period. Well, we have a period of pi, and we're going to take 4 steps to get there. There's always 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, so we're going to divide it by 4. So our step is pi over 4. So if we start at -2 pi plus pi over 4, where are we? Well, we have to get common denominators, so it's going to be over 1. Times it by 4, and that's 8/4. So I'm going to go ahead and write here that we are starting at -8/4, and if we add on a pi, we're at -7 pi over 4. So this is -7 pi over 4, then -6 pi over 4, -5 pi over 4, and how about -4 pi over 4? And right there you can see the steps. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We're adding on 1 pi right here. Alright, some of these will be able to be simplified. And this will be -5 pi over 4 and -pi. And right here is where you can see the period. We said the period was pi. So from the start to the finish, that is one period of pi. -2 pi to -1 pi. We added on a pi, and we've gone up and down in 1 pi. Alright, now that we have the table, we can go ahead and make the graph. Let's pull up a graph here. Number 12, I'll go ahead and write the equation at the top. Alright, we have one job, and that is to get these values onto this graph, and lots of different ways to do it. I suggest you follow this line down, this plan down here, and let's first off make a midline. What is my midline? Y is equal to -1. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put -1 here. Make it nice and dark, and go ahead and label it midline. And now what? The phase shift. Where do we start at? Well, if you remember the phase shift, it was -2 pi. Go ahead and mark this line right here. And I like to write the word start up here at the top so I know where I'm starting at. Alright, what else? Whoops, I missed that by just a little bit. Go ahead and erase this. -2 pi is going to be right here. Have to be real careful when you're using graph paper. Next, I have the max and midlines. Well, it dropped down to -5, so I can put that in there. And the top is +3. So hopefully you can start to see our graph is coming together. We have a midline, we have a minimum, we have a maximum, and we have a starting point. So now what we need to do is put our points in here. I mean, that's what we're doing. So negative 2 pi is right there. The negative 7 pi over 4, it's not listed on here, but this next one is negative 3 pi over 2, and that's going to be right here. So there's our second step. So our first step would be right there. So we go 1, 2, 3 to get to there, and 1, 2, 3, and our other steps are in between there. So it's a little tricky with this graph paper, but hopefully you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and we're at negative pi where we're supposed to be. So what's our graph look like? Well, it's going to go up here, then come down to there, and it's going to drop way down here, and it's going to come up. And the better you can make this a curve, the nicer your graph's going to look. But those are the 5 points. Now we have those 5 points. If you go to Desmos.com, you'll be able to verify that you have it correct, but that's one way above the sine. So now you just need to go ahead and finish it. And the way I would do that is say this is 1, 2, 3. Every 3 is an intercept. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Continue it this way and continue it this way. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we know it goes up and down by the intercept, so you can draw the points if you need to, but you know what's going to happen. It's going to go, these are the intercepts, so it comes down and comes down, and then we can go backwards. It's going to drop down, and it's going to go up. You can continue that pattern when you're finished. You will have a graph that looks like this. Up, down, it looks nice if you go through and highlight it and make the midline and minimum and maximum darker, and even put a starting line in here. If you look real close, what I did is I labeled here the critical points that are not listed on here. This first critical point was negative 7 pi over 4. That's on our table right here, but it's not over here, so I went ahead and labeled it. All right, and our goal is to try and label one wave to the right. Every critical point is labeled here, 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 and one to the left. Here, here it's labeled, and there it's on the graph, and this critical point is labeled here, and that one's on the graph. All right, I hope this helps.